welcome back to this channel. This is Angel. Today, we're going to talk about the 4 conditionals in English. Probably you have already encountered this in your studies. Therefore, this is a great revision for you. However, if you're not familiar with it, then this video will be an excellent introduction. Let's get started.
When to use conditional sentences.
We use conditional sentences when we want to explain what actually happens and what could happen. Second, to explain what could possibly and likely outcome of it in the future. Third, to talk about what we wish would happen. And lastly, to talk about what might have happened in the past. There are 4 types of conditional sentences. These are zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, and third conditional. Our if clause is our condition. What I mean of condition is a situation or event that must happen in order for the other thing to happen. So, the result, main clause can only happen if the if clause occurs, and that is why it's called a conditional sentence. Okay, I will now discuss how to use and formulate your sentences using each condition. Let's have the zero conditional first. We use the zero conditional when we talk about general truths, or we also use it to give instruction with the imperative in our main clause. We followed the pattern if plus present simple for our if clause, and present simple for our main clause. Let's have these 2 examples under general truths.
If you heat water, it evaporates. People get hungry when they don't eat.
These 2 sentences are facts. We're talking about in general and not about one particular situation, meaning these are always true. And as you may have observed in the second sentence, we put our main clause at the beginning of our sentence and we use the word when. We can usually replace if to when without changing the meaning of our sentence. Let's have the other examples using the imperative in the main clause.
Message me if you get lost. If Alex calls, don't answer the phone.
These examples are giving instructions to someone. Therefore, we often use the zero conditional structure. It is simple and easy. I want you to practice by finishing these sentences. Let's have the first conditional now. We use this when we talk about possible and likely future outcomes. For our structure, we use if plus present simple for our if clause and will plus infinitive for our main clause.
If you study hard, you will pass the exam. When I save enough money, I will buy that dress. If I get sick, I will go to see a doctor.
These examples talk about things which might happen in the future. Of course, we can't know what will happen in the future, but this describes possible things which could easily come true. Well, there is a 50% chance that the first part of the sentence, the action following if, will happen. And if it happens, the second part is 100% certain. So now it's your turn to finish the sentences. And as for the second conditional, we can use it to talk about imaginary, unreal, or hypothetical things. We can also talk about things in the present that are impossible. We use the pattern if plus past simple for our if clause and would plus infinitive for our main clause.
If I won the lottery, would buy a mansion. I would start investing in stocks if I were you. If the couple had more children, their place could be chaotic.
These examples talk about things in the future that are probably not going to be true. Just like the first example, if I won the lottery, I would buy a mansion. This situation is imaginary. As I mentioned earlier, we can change the position of our clauses. It is not important which clause is first, but you have to remember that if the if clause comes second, there is no need for a comma. Just like our second example here, I would start investing in stocks if I were you. We used I were instead of I was. This is another rule for the second conditional. When we use the verb to be, the past form is always were for the subjects I, he, she, and it. This kind of conditional sentence is different from the first conditional because this is a lot more unlikely. It's just a dream, and it's not very real. Alright, please complete these sentences. We are down to the last kind of our conditional sentences, the third conditional. We use this structure to imagine a different past, different to the one that actually happened. We follow the pattern if plus past perfect of our if clause and would have plus past participle for our main clause. Let's have our example sentences.
If I had studied harder, I would have passed my exam. You wouldn't be so tired if you had gone to bed earlier. I would have made more food if I had known you and your friends were coming.
These example sentences express the past consequences of unrealistic actions or situations in the past. For the first example, if I had studied harder, I would have passed my exam. The first action, studying hard, did not happen. But in the case that I happened to do it, the consequence was passing the exam. The third conditional is very similar to the second conditional. But while the second conditional refers to something unrealistic now or in the future, the third conditional refers to something unrealistic in the past. We often use the third conditional to express regrets, describing things we are sorry that it happened or didn't happen. Alright, it's your turn now to complete these sentences.
That's all for the overview of the four conditionals in English. To get more used to this grammar structure, I want you to write down more of your own examples of each condition in the comment box below. Well, I hope to see you again in our next video. Bye!